Please explain that how can we promote the healthy habits from the childhood itself.
Okay. This is a very tricky question actually. How do we promote the good habits in children right from the childhood? So I think the best example is that children don't follow orders, but they follow the behaviors. So if your behavior is healthy in terms of food, in terms of physical activity, you will observe that the children follow that. Children will not agree to the instructions that are given to them, but they will be observing your plate. So it's important that the parents become the role model. And when we say the parents have to become the role model, that means the parents need to show as well the plate to the children. They need to eat, they need to show the colors in the plate. If you show the colors in the plate, which are rich in the yellow fruits and vegetables are there, and then you have your dals, you have your egg, or you have your chicken, or you have the variety in terms of cereals or millets, the child automatically registers that. So it's important that the parents start eating healthy. The parents cut down on the malnutrition but concentrate on the proper nutrition. Malnutrition I'm talking of because often, as I was discussing earlier also, that we tend to buy things which are not necessary when we are buying from malls, which are rich in HFSS, and then these are very addictive in nature. So if we don't stack these food items in the house, the children will not end up eating that. If the things are stacked in the house, we tend to eat that. So the behavioral strategy would be, again, how do you present the food to the children? How do you make the food very interesting to the children? Because when we say interesting, once I had asked in one of the sessions to the parents that, what is your strategy of making them eat? And all the parents together said to me, mobiles. So, and this is very common, we also end up with our screens or, watching TV. So if these habits are broken, or are not continued, then it would be really good that eat with the family.
Yeah.
That is very important. That may, or eating with thanking God. Like how in Marathi usually we start as Vadani Kavada Gheta, Nama Ghya Shri Hariche. So when you are actually eating and thanking, that in itself is calming you first, and then you're consuming on the food. So mindful eating is a thing which has to be introduced to the children right from childhood. The children is watching some cartoon where a lot of fighting is happening, violence is happening, or a lot of voice and a lot of noise rather.
Yeah.
And then the children consume it. Trust me, when you ask the children what did you eat, they don't even know what they have consumed. So it's important that cut out on the screen time. The screen time for the children, in fact, should not be more than 2 hours. And I'm not talking about the academic screen time that the children have thanks to the pandemic, which has increased, but the screen time on TV, on mobiles, on video games, that has to be less. And at a time, the children should not be watching any screen for more than 20 minutes. So cut down on that. It is very important, because that's a passive kind of an activity which is happening. You're not really using your brain to do anything.
Yeah.
And you want the children to grow to the optimum, right, in terms of brain development, cognition. It's important that they are active. Now, when we are talking of activity, WHO has evidence that more than 50% of the Indian children are not active. So, which is very alarming. When you were speaking about alarming signals, is the child has to be active. The child should be moving all the time. It's okay if the child is consuming thoda bites, you give them.
Yeah.
But the child should be active enough. Now, when we talk of activity, again, at least 60 minutes of physical activity, moderate to rigorous, nice physical activity where they're sweating, and again, activity where, you can promote certain games, they are running, a lot of sweat is coming out is something which is very important. Introduction of local seasonal foods is important. We are talking about California almonds, California apple, we are talking about kiwi, we are talking about, no problem, please introduce these fruits to the children. But whatever is seasonal right now, our desi apples or desi foods that we are consuming, which are grown in that particular soil, is very important. If you don't introduce that, later on the children will not really consume those. So whatever seasonal and local is there has to be given to the children. Another important point is when we are talking about healthy habits, consumption of good amount of water as well as fluids is important. Now, often it has been observed, that we give a lot of juices to children, or these are rich in sugars and preservatives. So, if you're given a choice whether it is a fruit or a juice is fine once in a while if you're giving, but it's important that the child choose the fruit and gets also the fiber. So if you have to give fluids, it could be in the form of water, of course. So minimum 8 to 10 glasses of water is something which is required by the children. Apart from that, buttermilk, sol curry, which we say, or we can have simple nimbu pani, which is given, shikanji, which can be given. Again, the sugar should not be put in that. So, or less amount of sugar has to go. So these fluids should be promoted rather than the packaged products which are there in the market, which are rich in fats. Another very important point is that the child needs to sleep well. When I say sleep well, it should be an undisturbed sleep to the child. So minimum, it is said that for preschoolers, they should be sleeping between 11 to 13 hours. So this is a right sleep which actually makes them grow well. So all the growth and development takes place during the sleeping period. So it's important that the child sleep well. Now again, there is a connection. If the child is on screen for a very long period of time, it is going to disrupt the sleep. If the child has not consumed food, has just consumed something which is junk, later on he's again hungry, and then that vicious cycle continues. So giving them the right meals, even small meals at frequent intervals would be good. And for a good sleep, again, tryptophan is an amino acid which plays a very important role. So often you must have observed that our parents used to give us this haldi ka doodh while sleeping. So it was, or generally it was like we call it as a turmeric latte, as in Starbucks and all it is given. So it is our tonic which was given, and that can be promoted. And of course you can add flavors to it if the child really demands, but that is something which is sleep inducing. Adding some jaifal to it, or nutmeg as we said, so that is again sleep inducing. So to ensure that right sleep is very important for their growth. And if I have to really conclude the entire talk as with you, Piyusha, I think the parents need to understand that they themselves and the child have to follow this Bella code. I'm not talking about this web series which is having this Bella code, but B stands for balanced, E stands for eating, L stands for living, and A stands for actively living. So if we follow the Bella code, I'm sure the children are going to grow well. Another very important thing is, maybe which I forgot to share, is we have to make sure that we are not fighting in front of children, and not fighting on the dinner table, or that is something very important, because the child needs to eat healthily. So that kind of a responsibility the parents really need to take. We often give the phone to the child, and we are here conversing loudly and we are not consuming food, and the child, poor thing, feels that this is not important, but they are suffering, that is something important. So make sure that the environment in which the children are eating is very calm, peaceful, and very happy. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for your wonderful thoughts.
Thank you.
We'll connect you.
Sure.